Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Balkan, the show that's going to help you navigate the massive challenges of life, motherhood, culture, identity, and belonging with more ease, acceptance, joy, and purpose. Thanks to each and every one of you that come back every time to listen, learn, heal, and feel inspired. If you do love the podcast, then do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button. It really does help spread the word. Hello, my beautiful sisters, and good morning all the way from Australia here on the Gold Coast. So, wherever you're listening in from, welcome. I have had quite a lot of listeners popping in from all over Australia, all different cities, also all different parts of Europe as well, which is really cool and really exciting. I just recently made a post on my Instagram reintroducing myself and sharing it to my social platforms. And yeah, I had quite a lot of people reaching out, which was great. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to put myself out there a little bit more and yeah, just not be so shy. I'm not that shy, but I am shy, I guess, when it comes to talking about myself and amping myself up and selling my services and all that stuff that's required when you're self-employed, when, you're promoting yourself and your work. And yeah, so that's that in a nutshell. But yeah, thank you for everyone who reached out and left some lovely comments on there. This is not a scripted episode today. I'm doing a bit of a catch-up solo episode. I was actually supposed to have Vedad Fizic on today, but unfortunately, so he's in Perth, I'm on the Gold Coast, and they had an emergency this morning of some sort. So yeah, I don't want to dive too much into that, but unfortunately he couldn't make it for our session this morning. So I thought I'm going to keep committed, I'm going to keep diligent, and I'm going to show up anyway. So yes, looking forward to rescheduling with him. That's not a problem. And this is what happens when you have your own podcast. And this is what happens when you run your own business or you do anything for yourself, or you have a project. Things shift, change continuously, and you just have to roll with it. I could have just said, oh, I'm not going to record anything today, then let's just move on. But instead, I thought, no, I'm going to show up anyway, whether it's for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. It's like almost going to the gym. You want to continue that momentum and bring something forward anyway, regardless if 5 people are listening or 500 or 5,000 or 50,000 or 5 million. You want to show up anyway. So I thought, let's do a little bit of a Balkansis catch-up solo episode. There's so much to digress, so much to talk about, so much to dive into. It's been a really active sort of week or two since Easter. But before we dive in, I've got some awesome cards. Someone gifted me these. They're called Messages of Life. And it's 54 guidance cards and by Mario Dugai. So it's called Blue Angel or something, the publisher. So someone actually gifted me this for my birthday. And I use this every so often. I just have them sitting in my office. I had them in my room before. I've got about 3 decks now, which is really funny because when I wanted to buy the first deck, it was a few years ago for my birthday. And I felt really like off buying it because I got raised Catholic. I got raised really religious, which I still am. But it just I felt like I was doing something bad, some sort of sorcery or witchery, like I'm buying these cards. But really, these cards just help you get in touch with yourself and answer some inner questions. It's almost like a question really back at you. So you have a question and you pull a card and you read it. You're like, okay, how can I interpret this? So it's just to better your own communication with yourself. Some people don't need a prompter. They just do it through prayer. And sometimes I do that as well. It just depends what I need on the day. How much spiritual help I'm needing or guidance, spiritual, religious, that's a whole episode in itself. But yeah, I'm a bit of everything. If you guys know me, I believe 10% in everything and 100% in nothing. So I take the best of everything, and my religion is being a good person and not hurting yourself and not hurting others. And I don't think that's that really that complicated. And every book is going to preach that. So I've got some cards today this is me going down rabbit holes. You know how it goes. If you've been a listener here for a while, you would know how much I brag on in the intro before I actually dive into the full episode, but it doesn't matter. It all loops back and connects back anyway. So I've got some cards here. I don't know if you guys can actually hear them on the microphone, and I was shuffling them. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pull a card and see what message we get today and what message I'm getting or you guys get. So let me just pull it out. I've gone in the middle here. Oh, wow. So I've got a card that says, welcoming happiness. So divine love is manifesting in me, through me, and around me. It attracts all that I need for the benefit of my soul. As I work to increase my inner light, I evolve into an emanation of love and joy. Today I reap and welcome the happiness and beauty of all that I have sown. How amazing. So welcoming happiness, and the last line was, I reap and welcome the happiness and beauty of all that I have sown. I love this. I absolutely love this. I'm actually going to pop it right here so that I just keep looking at it. I'm going to put it behind my microphone so that it just sits there. And I guess it's just a good message for myself and for you as well, that if you've been really diligent and you've been working really hard and you've been showing up and, you've been doing uncomfortable things, you've been putting in the work, you will welcome the happiness and the beauty of all that you have sown. So that's definitely the way that I want to start the episode off on is my illustrator messaged me this morning and she's done the last spread of my book, and I quite literally just over coffee started crying because seeing those pages come to life. So if for those of you who don't know, I'm writing my first children's book. It's called At Baba and Dido's House. And it's going to be a big, beautiful book, like almost A4 size, portrait orientation. Beautiful cover, beautiful story about growing up in this little village that Stranjani in Bosnia Herzegovina. I was actually born in Zenica in Bosnia Herzegovina. And yeah, it's about the story of me coming to life and me being with my family and living in a multi-generational home where I lived. And next door was my auntie and uncle, and upstairs was my Baba and Dido, which means grandma and grandpa. And yeah, I just always wanted to bring a book to life and write children's books and just write books in general. I love to write. I love to storytell, be creative in every sense of the word. And yeah, I'm finally doing it. And the last few pages are coming to life, and she sent it through to me and I got so emotional. And one of the last scenes is actually my mum tucking us in with my favorite blue blanket. And if you've been a refugee or an immigrant, or you've been displaced by whatever things have come your way that weren't your choice, you remember these little nuances. And I had this, for me in particular, it's this blue blanket, white and blue blanket with clouds on it, and I loved it. It was really heavy and really big. And I remember when we had to flee that morning, I was crying about my blanket. And once again, a lot of these memories are like, I have to sometimes talk to my mum about these memories and say, did this really happen, or am I just imagining it? Is it just, this is how the memories come up for a little refugee kid? And my mum will say, no, that's right. That's actually how it happened. And then she'll give me more context. Yeah, little 5-year-old me being displaced from such a young age, between 5 and you could say until we came to Australia, like 10 years old, just feeling completely displaced and not having a permanent home. It was, really layered and really complex, and it still hurts me till this day. And I'm still carrying a lot of, I wouldn't say resentment, but just pain and hurt and anger and misunderstanding as to why that happened, not just to me, but to millions of others who are now writing books and creating art and writing music and all sorts of things. So yeah, so that's my book that's coming to life. I can't wait to bring that forward into the world and birth that into the world and share that with you guys. So once the illustrator has done all the illustrations and everything she needs to do, which shout out to Alex, she's actually in Zagreb, wonderful illustrator. Her page is called Mali Machki. I'm going to link, so everything I mentioned today, I'm going to link in the show notes. And yeah, today is a bit of a recap, what's happened, what's happening, where I'm at the moment, where things are going, and a few shout outs to people that I love and know and that I do work with. Yeah, I just thought it was worthwhile putting together. But so that's the book coming to life there. So at Baba and Dido's house, it's going to be available, I'm hoping, in the next few months. Obviously, the deadline is hopefully before Christmas. It's already going to be May soon. So yeah, it's definitely gone over our deadlines and times that we had projected for ourselves. But It's also this project is teaching me patience and collaboration because when you're working with other people, not everyone goes to your speed. So it's actually been a nice process for myself just to process things. And yeah, because I not like to rush through things, but I do things very quickly at a very intense and high speed. And sometimes in that not that you miss quality, you miss that element of collaborating with others and having to start and pause and stop and then reassess and then go again. Yeah, it's been a huge learning curve, a huge project, and I'm really excited to get it under wraps, start selling it, and do like maybe a little book tour with it and also share it with my parents and then write more books on top of that as well. Yeah, if you have a project that you're working on at the moment, please share it with me, send me a DM, jump on Instagram, and also at the same time, if you've already got something that you've birthed and put out into the world, share it with me as well. I love reading books to my kids and I love creating a healthy dialogue. I think it was Selma, the guest that I just had on recently. She's in Melbourne, she's a psychiatrist. She put in her stories, is there any books in our languages around the war and things like that? And Balkan Mama Therapy, she actually, that's another Selma in America. She did write a book, Adam's Magic Fenyer. So that book is really wonderful from a psychologist point of view. And a mother and a refugee on going through the war and what that meant. And yeah, she put it in a really beautiful way. So that's something that I'll definitely touch on and possibly write next. So as a sequence to this book, so it tells a story, but I might skip a few steps ahead and maybe write about coming to Australia and being a refugee kid and what that means. And yeah, I really want to go into my son's school and tell the story and share that story of adversity, diversity, inclusion, acceptance, and tolerance and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's really taken me on a huge and beautiful journey, healing the inner child in me. It's been really wonderful. So if you have any questions about that, please reach out and we can definitely chat. So let's go back. Let's rewind it back a little bit. We just had Easter and yeah, it was beautiful. It was just such a beautiful day. And yeah, no amount of chocolate eggs or Aussie traditions can replace those age-old traditions that we used to do in the village when we were kids. And that's why I had Snezhana Charlich on. She was actually on MasterChef Australia, which is like a cooking show, a cooking competition. And I had her come on for that previous segment where I asked her a bunch of preempted questions and then she answered them and I meshed it all together and aired it for you guys, which you guys really loved. That actually had quite a lot of plays, quite a lot of hits, that episode. So yeah, thank you, Snezhana, for coming on. And she was recording the audio in her car while her kids were playing sports. This is how it looks behind the scenes when I'm talking to people and creating episodes and creating stuff for you guys. There's quite literally mums dropping their kids off, running around, doing this, doing that. Or yeah, there's people staying up late to talk to me, like till midnight, or people getting up really early. My best friend Frankie, I did an episode with her, 2 episodes. She woke up, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning and her son and her husband were still asleep next door to her and she had to go in the other room and be really quiet. This is what people do. Like I sacrifice a lot and also my guests sacrifice a lot to be here and to create this content and to bring value into the world that you can consume and that you can take something away from. So yeah, we had Easter. It was really beautiful, really wonderful. We hosted it at my house and yeah, we had so much fun. And obviously like there's a lot of cleaning up, there's a lot of prep, there's a lot of that. But when you do it, you're really glad that you did it. You're like, oh, that was so nice. So it was actually one of the first events where I've had since I've had my daughter, which has been a couple of years, where I've been a lot more present and I've just sat and had coffee and I sang with my parents and I was playing all their favorite songs and everybody was in a good mood. And like we did colo, we did tarantella because my in-laws are Italian. So yeah, we're building this deck that we want to paint back there. And yeah, it was really nice. It's like a culmination of your life coming together in these little moments that you don't realize you're going to look back on and realize they're big moments. So if you haven't hosted an event or anything like that, or you think my place is too small or I haven't got the money or whatever, just fucking do it. Invite your favorite people and make it happen. It's not about the food or the drinks or whatever or the setting. It's just about being together. And in a world where there's more and more division and more terror and horror, like just do the thing that's opposite to that, which is bringing your favorite people together, because one day you're going to look back on those photos at the end of your life or their life and you're going to go, God, I'm so glad that we did that we spent that time together. So hopefully this is your omen. And my beautiful husband, he just had his 40th birthday. Shout out to my hubby, Andrew. Woohoo! I'm going to give him a little clap. And I still don't have a mixer here. I want to buy a mixer. They're about $800. That's where you get to play all those sounds and stuff throughout your episode. So you don't have to edit and go back into your editing and put it in there later, which takes a lot of time. I do want a mixer I can plug all my stuff into, and then I can play videos and music and everything directly live in the episode like this when I'm talking. So yeah, my husband turned 40. Yeah, just watching the man you love hit a milestone like that, it just makes you so proud, and it makes you reflect on the life you've had together. He just turned 40. I'm gonna cry. It gets so emotional. It's been an emotional morning for me, but we've been together for next year. We hit 20 years that we've been together. It's just wild. Yeah, we also dated as teenagers. I think I shared the story in a previous episode. Like if you go right back to the beginning, but it's already been almost 50 or 60 episodes now, but we talk about the way that we met, I think. But I might get him on the podcast again and actually get him to share some funny stories with us. But yeah, so just makes you feel nostalgic and makes you reflect really deep on where it is that you're going, where it is that you've been, even though it's his birthday and not mine. Yeah, just how you want to live your life, how you have lived your life, what you want to bring forward, just overall pride, just proud because we've survived so much. We've gone through so much, and to have someone by your side, it's not even the length of time, it's just the depth that's required to stay with someone for 20 years and to be as young as what we are. I'm not even 40 yet. And yeah, just happy birthday, honey. I love you if you're listening to this. You're the best husband and the best father that anyone could have asked for. Yeah. And funnily enough, it was also my dad's birthday on the same day as my husband. So for any of you who've listened to previous episodes, which I'm really going to touch on this, actually I'm going to expand on this in other episodes so that I do in the future, is I never wanted to marry a Croatian guy. I never wanted to marry a guy from the Balkans. I was just, the minute I came to Australia, I was like 12 years old saying to my dad, I'm not going to fucking marry a Nash guy. Screw that. They're all alcoholics. They all beat women. They obviously are generalized, but it was just from what I had seen and what I didn't like. And obviously I was seeing a very different generation full of trauma, and a lot of the younger guys that were coming up are different and are changing. But I was always like, nah, I don't want anyone. And my dad was petrified and horrified. Like, okay, Chaddy, calm down. Just give it time. You never know. So obviously I dated everything opposite to that, which didn't work either, funnily enough. So it's just, yeah, interesting how you think it will be different, but it's just about picking a good person. It's not even about, being a good person and then attracting the right person, being that magnet of goodness. And then my husband waltzes on into my life, and he's so much like my dad. They say you marry your father, you marry your mother, and it's so true, or you marry those qualities or possibly those wounds. So in my case, it's my father. So they're both born 16th of April. They share the exact same birthday, which is just absolutely wild to me. So wild that a man from the village of Bosnia Herzegovina and a guy born here in Sydney in Liverpool Hospital share exactly the same birth date, obviously many years apart. It's funny how you go out of your way to avoid something and God just puts a twist on it and is, here you go, you can have that. So happy birthday to my dad as well for last week. And my beautiful husband, we celebrated with the lunch. We also had a party at Easter for all of them, and we did cakes and everything like that. So yeah, it's been a really beautiful time of celebration. And obviously this time last year, we couldn't do much celebrating because my nephew was in really intense chemo treatment. And yeah, that story continues to unfold. But we were lucky enough this year that he was able to join us in those celebrations, and we were able just to do it together. So yeah, I'm so grateful and thankful to God that we got to have that. So yeah, happy birthday to my two favorite men in the whole entire universe. And yeah, my kids are growing up fast. It's actually making me really emotional. My son is 7, he's turning 8 in December, which feels really strange. I can't believe I'm going to have an almost 8-year-old. My daughter, she's turning 2 in September. And it's just wild. She's not even 2. She's acting like a 25-year-old, the things that she does. And she's got these little crocs, like these little papuche and she puts them on and she runs around the house. I'm just in a real big love bubble with them at the moment. Yeah, my heart's really overflowing and my ovaries are just pulsating. I'm like, I want another baby. There's been a lot of discussion around having a third baby and my husband's, oh my God, how are we going to do it? Modern age parents and just life in general in the Western world is not that easy to grow families, but we're down for it. We'll see what happens. So maybe you'll get a pregnancy announcement at some stage of the year. Who knows what's going to happen? But we're really excited, and I would love to expand our little tribe. I'm one of four siblings, and my husband's obviously one of two. But yeah, I've always just dreamt of having a big family, and I don't feel like I'm done yet. I never had that feeling of done when I had my daughter. If anything, she expanded on that even more, and I just wanted to keep on going. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Everyone keeps asking me, and I keep having these conversations, and everyone I'm talking to has 3 kids, and I'm always asking about that third baby. So, watch this space. It's either going to make or break me, but I'm going to continue to share with you guys that family journey because everything I do is an integration of my family and my work. It's a culmination of the both. Like, I don't want to separate the two. It's an integration of the two. I still want to continue my coaching. I still want to continue community building. I want to build out a webinar, like a masterclass. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Where basically I want to get together all the Balkan sisters of the world, wherever they are, all over the globe, and I want to put together a masterclass. So there's a few different titles that I have. So jump into my Instagram stories on both of my social media pages, and then you can vote on what you would like to talk about or dissect or sort of talk on. Obviously, there's going to be quite a lot of people there. I'm still figuring out like just pricing and making it really affordable for people to jump in. It's probably going to be via Microsoft Teams as well. I've been wanting to do a masterclass since forever. And I've always been hesitant because I'm like, who am I? Why would anyone want to listen to me or talk to me or start get imposter syndrome as we all do? But I'm going to persevere and push through because I know that there's just such a big need for it. There's nowhere really currently where all the Balkan sisters can meet up, come together, share ideas. Like there's no container for that at the moment. And I see so many pages, different types of pages that do amazing things that are affiliated with that Balkan word or that Balkan connotation, but there's nowhere really like a melting pot for online where all those people can meet. So I definitely want to be that hub. And yeah, also, and that's what the book is about and community. And also I want to do a big shout out to Maida, who hosts Radio Most. So it's like a radio station for everything Bosnian. So over there and here. And if you haven't heard of them yet, you can find them on Facebook. Maida is wonderful. She gave me a special experience when she asked me or she invited me to come on as like just to do a little segment about Easter, like how we celebrate the tradition and things like that. So yeah, I've been corresponding with her a little bit on WhatsApp and she's absolutely amazing. So I highly encourage you, if you're in Australia, to listen to that radio station. If you go on their Facebook page, they do have a link to their website and you can hit play. They play it every Saturday afternoon, I think like between 4 and 6. And yeah, it's amazing. They do like music, news, what's happening over there, what's happening here with the Bosnian community. So yeah, obviously being born in Bosnia, there's a really strong affiliation there and I'm looking forward to hopefully coming on as a guest as well in the future, but highly recommend. I really wanted to do a special shout out to her. And the person who connected us was my cousin Ivan Knježević. He owns Entourage Touring, so special shout out to him as well. So he brings amazing bands from our parts of the world to Australia. He brings Anis Begovic. He brought him. He was the first Bosnian person to play at Sydney Opera House, and he got the keys to Western Sydney as well, which is really big, like for our communities because Italians have made it worldwide, like globally everywhere. There's lots of Spanish people, lots of South Americans, lots of Asians. The Balkan diaspora has managed to break through severely in those big they are like with sporting. Obviously Boston's going into the World Cup and Croatia's in there as well. So it is happening, it is starting to happen, but obviously it's taken a really long time to get there and I hope that I continue to see that through in a positive direction. So yeah, shout out to my cousin Ivan for doing that and hopefully we'll collaborate and work together at his future events. And yeah, he's got 40 Fingers, which is an Italian guitar band coming to Hoda, which is here on the Gold Coast at the Art Centre in June. I'll also link that and put in more information from that. But yeah, hopefully as well get him onto an episode, get him chatting. And his grandmother was actually sisters with my grandmother. So that's how we're related. Yeah, virtually, I feel like I'm related to everyone in some sort of way or connected. We are all connected anyway at the core. But yeah, there's so many wonderful people in media, in production, in so many different fields doing amazing things for the diaspora. So I encourage you within your neighborhood or your city or your nearest city to get involved if you want to, obviously, if you feel like there's a need and you've got something to share or there's something you want to learn. Because I know what it's like living, like to be that diaspora person in another place. Sometimes you don't feel like you belong or you connect with the Americans or the Australians or the Canadians. I do encourage you to put yourself out there if you want to in that sense. There's a lot of amazing people doing a lot of amazing things at the moment. And we will be going to my cousin Vlad. He's a Macedonian comedian living in Sydney. That's at the end of May at the Brisbane Powerhouse. So yeah, shout out to him as well. I love listening to his podcast called This That Podcast. There's so many beautiful creative people out there from that Balkan diaspora doing incredible things. And there's quite a lot of people who dissect the word Balkan and what is Balkan. And I had a comment of someone saying Croatia's not part of Balkan. And there's so much politics around it. And I've been so tempted so many times as well to get rid of that name and just do a podcast under my own name again. But it's not about that, honestly. It really isn't. You're always going to get that one person who's offended or those two people with negative comments, but then you're going to get hundreds of people giving you positive feedback. So yeah, just focus on that. And don't worry about the haters because I did another episode on that. You can listen to that in the previous ones. But so yeah, where am I at with the Croatian citizenship? So as you all know, I do have my Croatian citizenship. Even though I was born in Bosnia, my dad, we went to Croatia. When we escaped, we went to Croatia and then we ended up getting Croatian citizenship by descent there as well before we ended up having to go to Germany and then to Australia. So yeah, we're doing the kids' citizenships. The consulate is coming in May, so there was a discretion with my birth certificate. So my birth certificate stated that I was born in Zenica, Bosnia-Herzegovina, former Republic of Yugoslavia. And then in my marriage certificate to Andrew, my husband, it stated my place of birth and it's a former Republic of Yugoslavia. And that country no longer exists, so then it wasn't valid. So that's with the Australian deaths, births, marriages. So I had to get that corrected. Once that got corrected, now the consulate is coming back to the Gold Coast. So if you are on the Gold Coast or Brisbane and you need to sort out any paperwork with the consulate, you can always write to them in their emails. I've been dealing with Nives, who's absolutely amazing and beautiful, kind and helpful, which not all of them are like that as dealing with consulates. But yeah, its roots, its legacy, and I really want them to have it. And you never know what the future holds as well. Like I've expressed that we might want to do a sabbatical in the future and go back there and live with our kids for a period of time to give them that experience of living abroad like how I did. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Hopefully after I submit this paperwork, I had to get an apostille stamp, like that red stamp that goes on there. And I'm going to give that to them and then hopefully that's going to get shipped off to Zagreb and they're going to approve it and the kids will get it in a few months. So yeah, that will be a huge achievement. I'll be super proud of that because I feel like I'm passing on a baton. My dad passed something on to me, now I get to pass it on to them. And it's really good to have. So I urge you, if you want to get Serbian citizenship or even Bosnian or anything like that, it depends, obviously, the conditions are depending on how many citizenships you can hold under one. But I would urge you to look into it and call your nearest consulate and make some phone calls. And I think it's a really good thing to have for your kids to be connected to your roots in that sense. If they ever want to return one day or work or whatever, it's good to have this. Yeah, I'll be going to the Croatian club in May. Then going to have, the consulate there. And then she gets everything that she needs. And then people come and, they give her all the documents. So I'm looking forward to that. And putting a red ribbon and like wrapping that up, and because obviously you can imagine like paperwork and bureaucracy and stuff, it takes a lot of time. Like it's been, I think, over a year process. Yeah, and look, with my ancestry, I know I didn't share too much about the ancestry, but I do have a lovely guest. So shout out to Sofia Maric. She's absolutely amazing. She is an ancestry guru. I call her genealogist. She's just a historian. She knows so much. She's traced back her own roots, I think, dating back before the 1800s or something like that, which is huge because we don't have as much access here in Australia to all that paperwork and documents overseas. So obviously she's done a lot of trips overseas and done church records and things like that. But living in Australia, and I think a lot of people who are listening living in America and Canada and every other place outside of the EU, those people are the ones who crave, I think, the most connection to their home because they might have been adopted. They might have, who knows what their circumstances are. I had a distant cousin reach out to me. Her last name was Strabats on Ancestry. She lives in America. And she was like, hey, it says here you're like fourth cousin removed or something like that. It tells you on there how you're related to people. And yeah, she doesn't have any surviving or living family members anymore in America. So obviously she's looking to reach out, like, who am I? What am I about? Like, where's all this family? Like, where's all these people? So yeah, she wants to connect with those roots and it's really interesting. And then she reached out and I was able to point her in the right direction, even if I didn't have as much information. I asked my dad and then I'm asking other people. And that's how you get connected. So it really started off with me buying my mother-in-law an ancestry kit. So there's obviously different websites, but I used Ancestry DNA, I think. But yeah, I can share a little bit more on that in another episode where I can dive a bit deeper into ancestry. And that's why I wanted to have Vedad on today because he talks really a lot about those medieval times of Queen Katarina and the kingdoms, the Bosnian kingdom and things like that before it got invaded by the Ottomans. And yeah, so I love history. If you know me, I went to high school. My favorite subject was ancient history and history in general. So I love going down rabbit holes. I love learning and educating myself and yeah, proving myself wrong most of the time as well, which I love because there's always room to learn. We're always creatures that are in progress, in process. There's never a level of completion. You just keep growing and evolving. Yeah, every time I open up the app, I discover something new. And that's why I think this podcast exists as well, is because I'm like an archaeologist. I just keep digging for bones and dissecting and seeing what things mean. And that's why I don't like being pigeonholed or told you can't do this or you can't do that. And I'm like, who are you? Who are you at the end of the day? If you're not satisfied, just make your own podcast. If you don't think I'm doing such a great job, like you can, we all have sovereignty. We all have rights. Like just go off and start your own thing. Yeah, that's why I feel like I podcast really well. I create because I really go down deep into my own psyche and other people's psyche and figure out what that means for me. And for me, in this case, it's been ancestry. And I've had quite a lot of people say to me, wow, that's so interesting that you're doing it now. It's usually something that people do when they have more time and money, which is when they're in their 60s, right? But then I think to myself, what's the point when I'm in my 60s? All of my forefathers and foremothers would have passed away. If I'm in my 70s, like all of those ancestors have passed on. So you can't get any more oral history from them unless they've written it somewhere. So I really urge you, like even writing my own memoir, I have to get quite a lot of information and a lot of political, geographical stuff. And I think you can't write about our regions or talk about our regions without having to attack some certain things or important dates. So yeah, I do urge you to write it all down. Talk to your mum, talk to your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your baba, whoever, grandparents, like whoever's around you who has that information, reach out to them. Or if you have family overseas, send them a message, reach out to them and write it all down or screenshot it. I've got a folder where I keep all my stuff in. It's called Legacy for Andrew's family and my family. And I plan to pass it on to my kids one day and create a book about it so that they know where they come from, who they are. Like, because once you have that solid foundation, you can build a really good house on top of that. Like, how are my kids supposed to build if they don't have that solid foundation from home? So yeah, I urge you, like even if you are super young or you're older or whatever age you are, like it's never too late to start. And I definitely want to have Sophia on. She's a dear friend of mine. And she really does want to come on camera, but I said to her, look, we can do it and we don't have to do video. We'll just do audio. So yeah, she is. I always say to people, they come to me for stuff. I'm like this hub. People come to me for answers. And I'm like, okay, if I don't have the answer, then I definitely know someone who does. So I know a lot about ancestry, probably more than someone my own age, but I don't know as much as someone else who's actually been doing it for the last actively 5-10 years. So that's where I can point people in the right direction. Is they come to me, they ask me, and then I can go, okay, I can guide them in a certain direction. Yeah, and that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately is that the people I've been connected with online are genuinely cool. They're genuine humans doing really good things in the community. And it's reminded me of something I really believe is like show up to be of use. Don't take from spaces, give back to people, add value, be the person that makes the room better. That is the energy that I want for this community and for myself. I have so many people always reaching out to me, hey, can you share this, or can you put this in your business page or your network or whatever it is with my clients? And I'm just like, okay, great. I'm happy to do that if it affiliates and it's a good fit. But you also got to think about, what are you giving back to that person? So when you're asking someone to do something for you, to go out of their way for you, got to think, what have you done to go out of your way for them? It takes two to tango. A relationship works both ways. So I really urge you, if you're that person who's asking someone else, oh, hey, can you do this or can you do that, or whatever it might be, family or friends or work, what value are you adding to them for them to go out of their way for you? Yeah, that's where I had beautiful Natasha Ružić. She lives in Croatia. I am going to share it with people because it is relevant, as I talked about the ancestry before and I talked about the citizenship. There is a survey link that has been shared with me. It's nothing monetary or anything like that. It's research into the return potential of Croatian immigrants from Australia. So if you are Croatian and you live in Australia and you're potentially thinking of returning back to Croatia, basically, you want to move back, potentially, you can fill out this link, this form. It's anonymous, there's no names, and it's as many responses as you can put on there as possible. The links are I'm going to put in the show notes. You can fill it in and you send it off to them. And yeah, this kind of research matters for the community because there has been, I think we can't not talk about it, there has been a mass of people leaving Australia since COVID. There has been a mass exodus, and I've talked about this before. Like, I watch Rahat Land on YouTube, which is like a Bosnian, I guess you could say, production company, and they interview everybody who's moving back to Bosnia. And it's not just Bosnia, it's other parts as well of the Balkans or other parts of Europe. So a lot of people are leaving Australia for many different reasons, to pursue other endeavors, to raise families, whatever their situation might be, to get closer to their roots. We're all trying to find a place where we can just be. And I think that looks different for everybody. So I do have a link in Croatian and then a link in English. I'm happy to share that with you guys. So if you guys are interested in that and you got Croatian roots and you want to explore that a little bit more, I can share it with you. And yeah, basically they're trying to gather information as to how they can better support Croatian immigrants from Australia and how obviously they can support these people possibly in moving back or creating alliances or allegiances in whatever way, shape or form. So if that's something of use to you, please reach out. I can send you the link or I can put in the show notes. And talking about community and immigrants and all that sort of stuff, I'm really excited. In June, we've got Lepa from Baba's Milk and Burek on Wheels, her and her mum, which is Baba, and her best friend Simona. They're going to be coming for a pizza workshop, which is going to be in Surfers Paradise and also in Labrador. That's on the Gold Coast. That's 2 suburbs here on the Gold Coast. And she's asked me to do some content for her so I'm excited. She's all sold out. I want to bring my son. I want to bring my mother-in-law, like even my mum. And yeah, it's just going to be super fun. So she's teaching people the art of making pita. Everything she's doing is to preserve that culture. It's to preserve that art form of making pita. And before, there used to be that saying of, if you don't know how to make pita, you can't get married. And I'm married and I still don't know how to make pita. So that's really funny. But I'm learning, and I'm going to learn at the workshop, hopefully. But I think I'll be doing more content than what I'll be getting my hands dirty. But still, maybe I can. I'll be there both days. So if you are coming to that, I'm really excited. If you have missed out and she sold out, potentially just send her a message, like maybe she can open up a third day. Who knows? I can't speak for her, but huge shout out to Lepa and Baba from Burek on Wheels and Baba's Milk. So Baba's Milk is a product which is like chocolate milk and strawberry milk they have at the moment. And it's available in a lot of different stores within Australia. But yeah, if you're someone who wants to stock it or you're someone who wants to buy it, you can go on Baba's Milk, you can go on the website. Like, all these plugs I'm giving on all these amazing people that I've had contact with is I get nothing for it, and other than a full heart and being just a supportive friend. So yeah, I'm just really grateful to everyone who keeps listening, to everybody who keeps tuning in, and hopefully this episode has been of value, of use to you. If there's something that you're promoting or you want to promote, you can reach out to me. I can put an ad into the podcast for you. And I do have to plug myself because that's something I'm really bad at. I'm so good at spruiking everybody else. But then when it comes to spruiking myself, it feels uncomfortable because I don't want to be that person who has their attention back on them. But I do need support to make this podcast sustainable. And just recently, I was listening to an episode like Beyond Borders, I think it is, like Dating Beyond Borders with Tamara Peklic. I'm having her on as well, which I'm so excited about. That's next week. So she's a Croatian living in America, married to a Chinese Malaysian. And yeah, she talks about all things diaspora, communication, language. Awesome. Her page is just popping. It's going off at the moment. And I know a lot of people are looking forward to that one as well. So I've managed to get her on the podcast. That's going to be happening next week. If you have any questions, you can also go to my DMs or just message me and I can ask her anything. If there's anything that you want to go on topic that's interesting or that you want to have more knowledge on, expand on, feel free to jump in. But yeah, so you can also sponsor an episode. We can do one ad. So Carolina from Holland, she did it on behalf of Charity Bosnian Kids. So we did one ad for that. And so there's that low entry cost there that I can pop your business or your message or your purpose in an ad, or continued support where I can keep on replaying that ad through every single episode for the rest of the year. So it can be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months or whatever. Yeah, just get in touch with me. I do need sponsors to stay on board. I do need support to stay on board because obviously the more my family grows and the needs of my kids grow and life and costs and expenses. I am 38 years old and I want to shift my belief around money as well, that I do deserve it because, when you've been brought up in poverty and hunger and you have nothing and you don't even have a dollar to your name, it does shape this belief of I'm just a good person and that's enough. And yeah, it's enough, but you also need to get paid and you also need money to get by because that's the transactional world that we all live in. So obviously if we watch an artist or we create art, we should get paid regardless if it's not a 9 to 5 profession or like a traditional role. So if you do want to work with me, by any means, please reach out. I do one-on-one coaching as well with women from the diaspora, and I'm also going to be opening up group coaching containers too to make it a little bit more affordable for people and also to have that supportive energy of Balkan sisters, people being together. But some people do prefer to talk in private, and whether it's for their business or their personal stuff, I really understand it, and that's why I've chosen to just coach like diaspora women because I understand that blueprint because not everybody gets it. Not everybody understands what it's like being a foreigner, being a refugee, being an immigrant in a new country. Not everyone gets that. So yeah, not all of us have had the privilege of being born in one place and staying there for the rest of our lives. So yeah, just reach out to me, connect with me. We can look at ways to support you and your business. And if you are a potential guest and of value and you want to come on board and you have a message, then feel free to reach out as well. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just super grateful that I get to do this and there's nothing else to say really. Otherwise, I'll keep harping on. It's been 45 minutes. I'm going to leave it with you guys. But that's it from me today. I might add a song at the end. I'm not sure what I'm feeling, but I do want to record more episodes. I am going to put up an episode that I recorded a little while back, and yeah, that's when I just had it under my own name, under Ivan Alfonso Podcast. So I will re-air some of those episodes, which are still so valuable today. And thank you for always showing up, for listening, for being part of this community. You guys have no idea how much it means to share the podcast with someone who needs it. Yeah, leave a review if you love it and subscribe and follow and do all that boring stuff. But it really does make a huge difference because it will help me continue making more content and bringing more valuable knowledge, insights and information into your life and into your world. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you loads. Hope you have a wonderful afternoon or morning or night, wherever you are. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Volim vas!
Pališ svijeću, pitaj svoju baku zašto je kćeri rađala u strahu, zašto su mnogi odabrali groblje, nisu naše majke iznjedrile roblje. Mnoge su suze potekle ko rijeka, zašto se piše povijest iz početka, sinovi naši nisu podanici, da nas noću bude iz koljevke krici. Uzmi me sebi, kraljice zemljo, tvoja
So that was the episode. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And as ever, if you did, please consider sharing it with your loved ones and leaving me a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It really does make a difference to the number of Balkan sisters that we can reach with the brilliant wisdom that my guests and I share. Thanks for being here. I do widzenia.